What up, AD? We're gonna start in like 3 minutes. I got a guest coming in, and it's gonna be like an interview kind of thing for this podcast I'm doing. I don't know if you've seen it, but feel free to check it out. Chris, I just sent you the co-host speaker invite. If you want to accept that, do a quick mic check, and then we'll get ready to get started here.
Mic check here. Ooh, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and
All right,
clear.
fantastic. Yeah, let me fill up this water so I can have a drink and I'm ready to go pretty much.
All right, cool. Let me know when you're back, and we'll get it started.
Well, all right, sir. I'm ready to go.
Cool. I'll kick it off. What's up, everyone? Hello, Anyang, Haseo, and Ola. This is the Talking About Life podcast. I am your host, Kowski. Thank you for joining the show. If you are listening on Twitter, please feel free to like and retweet and comment on the space. That will help us get some listeners here. Tonight, our guest on the show is Chris Cavallo. On Twitter, he is at Cavallo Creation. Quick intro from the Twitter bio here. Business and nonprofit consultant Cavallo Creations LLC, Veterans Club Racing Association, founder and OEF vet, 10th Cav, mentor and all around nerd, steadfast and loyal. Chris, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Aloha. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. And I like, I was kind of looking into how you do your format, and I'm really for it because it's just it's kind of open, right? I'm sure you have some questions, but I kind of love like the free flow of it. So I'm excited to be here. And
Yeah,
this is my first real ever interview, at least public interview. So yeah, it's good stuff.
awesome. Well, I'm excited about that. I'm happy to provide the space for that. I did send you a message, so yes, it is an open space. with some prepared questions if we need them. But as you mentioned, the goal is to keep it organic, keep it a regular conversation. So yes, it's an interview, but majority of the questions I like to come up with on the spot as we go. So they're genuine questions, and I'm not just like waiting to get to these like prepared questions kind of thing, because sometimes I see interviews go like that, and I don't love that style. I like the more organic style of the podcast. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm going for. Uh, just for the listeners, again, the podcast is talking about life. It's life in general. If you ever want to come on, please feel free to reach out and message me. There's, I don't think any topics that are like not allowed. I mean, if it's something crazy weird, like I don't know, maybe, but pretty open here is the point. And it's about passion. It's about positivity. It's about mental health. It's about growth. So those are kind of some of the topics here among the broad spectrum of everything else that we weave into it. So, Chris, to get started, uh, introduce yourself here beyond what I introduced you, whatever you want to lead with, and kind of just segue here into what are your passions?
Well, thanks for that. So I'm 32 years old. I recently have gone public with my consultant services. Spent the last, I'd say, about 10 years since I got out of the military, building systems and programs and advising for different companies, including like some government stuff and pilot programs. Uh, Mainly a lot of stuff for non-for-profits. I got my main experience when I was about 23 to 25, 22 to 25 in Indianapolis. Got a really good break. Somebody gave me gave me the opportunity to just be in that position at a non-for-profit where I could build systems and uh, get the allocations needed for these programs because it's all ran off donations, right? So I had to learn all the tax codes and everything that applies to being a 501c3. There's different there's three real different types of 501c3s that are authorized to get the 100% write off, which is educational, agricultural, and churches. So that's where I guess I gained most of my experience when it comes to like vocational rehabilitation and working with government entities and city municipalities. So I've taken that and I weaved it into my own personal skills and hobbies of tech, engineering, metallurgy, just kind of all around being hands on. Growing up, I started coding computers at a young age and building computers at a young age. I was about 10 or 11 years old, and then as I became a teenager, I was kind of always in the cars already. So I started welding and getting heavily into mechanics, and CNC machines became more readily available in the early 2000s. So I learned how to do the proper coding for CNC machines when I was about
Real
15.
real quick, Chris, I'll say mine. A CNC machine, from my definition, for people who don't know, because I semi recently found out what this was. I don't remember what CNC stands for, but the machine it's like an etching, cutting machine. So you could do, like, if you had a piece of wood, you could like etch a name into it and make a plaque or glass or vinyl, acrylic, I believe. Yes, right? I mean, you probably understand better, but for the listeners, is that correct? Do you want to
You're
expand
right
on that?
on. Yeah. Yeah. It's called computer numerical control, CNC. It's now got to the point to where we're on like 7 to 8 different accesses that we can program these frameworks on. And you can make really complex tooling for production to make, maybe carbon fiber parts, right? Or aircraft parts, down to the simply of just doing some etching and cutting things or getting precise, um, precision
Right,
work done. So,
right. So
uh,
you could both etch, you could put like design or a words or an engraving onto something, but then what I think you started with is you could also, not a 3D printer, but you could also use it to cut things out entirely to create parts and things like that. Yes?
yes. So this is an advancement of what we used to do as traditional. machinist when we would be milling things by hand, and we would have 7 or 8 different machines and stations that holds the material in a certain angle or space or whatever, and a lot of micrometers involved, and which I was lucky enough to learn all of that when I was in the army. I joined as a welder, and they were just merging the job codes with traditional machining and the actual metal workers. Um, so I was actually one of the very last class on Aberdeen Proving Grounds in Maryland, and even participated in the very last combatives tournament. So yeah, it's just um, um, it's there's been large advancements as well in CNC lately, and 3D printing has come light years. Um, I really love that stuff. So that's where I kind of spent the last 10 years. I'm going to say 10 years, maybe. Mm, no, really, yeah. That's where I kind of since the army, I've spent all my time doing that. I kind of put down the coding and the heavy and involvement with scripting and framework, and it was so great and relieving to see that recently I was making my own personal website. Now all the coding is just already boxed out, and you just layer it up and you just fill it in. You can choose to see the framework coding of that box that they've provided to you for your website, by just like right clicking or whatever. Um, but it's very intuitive, and I love how they've now made it so easy for the front end user. The average
Who's they?
person can make their own, huh?
Who's they?
The consumer.
No. You said they've made it easier for the consumer.
Oh, I want to say just the overall industry. Yeah, the overall industry of like, so the
You're
ability to make a
talking about
website
website
used to
building?
be so much more difficult.
You're talking about website building?
Correct.
Gotcha. So, well, what are you using though? Like you specifically?
Oh, I don't do that stuff. But back when I was still building websites, it was you had to build the framework and put everything in it. I was noting how it's beautiful now that you don't have to do that, and the average person can just.
But you have a website now, right?
Oh no, I don't. No.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you. Got it.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah, I was building a website. I was poking around, seeing how all the new stuff is. Um,
Did you pick
learning.
a platform yet, or what were you looking at?
Oh, I mean, WordPress has been around for decades. So I really liked what WordPress is doing, and I saw that they have these templates, and you can pay for premium templates, and I was blown away because I remember building these templates, 10 years ago, to build a website, like when you actually had to code everything out. I was just flabbergasted. So it's really fantastic because I've had access to the Meta Scholarship Program too. So I've been able to learn a lot about the new AR stuff and the metaverse, and they have all these different newer updated back end developer courses and front end developing, and it's really great to get my brain engaged on that stuff again because now I'm picking it back up. But like I said, when I was you know about 12 or 13 years old, I was already coding and building computers, and I was modding PlayStations to run burned, games or Japanese games. Um, so I've always really loved tech. I guess, like I said, I was hands on, and then got into the military. And when I got out of the military, I started building systems, and I still kept doing the engineering stuff, and kind of stepped away from HTML and Java and C++ and Linux, and because I mainly worked on Linux. That's what my neighbor, his dad was a um, what do you call it? So he was an OS creator. He helped create the operating system properly for Linux for many years, and he helped show me the actual data flow from the internet through Linux into Windows, and like how to hack and watch like data flow. And because he had several monitors, like with servers set up. This is in the early 2000s. He had a server in his house. um, really interesting stuff. But I just got really lucky with, like, I think my environment growing up and my own interest, and my parents kind of just let me do my own thing,
Yeah. Now,
so.
let me cut in one point here for the listeners. Now, Chris, you seem pretty technical. I'm pretty technical myself. I fix computers for like my day job outside of, all the trading and other things I do. So I'm following along. I do find people get lost in some of this stuff. So just to kind of maybe make it simple for anyone who's like, what the fuck is all this? What are they talking about? So there was a point where hopefully you remember if you had like a MySpace. If not, I'm not sure. Maybe like what was that other Tumblr or something, things like that. There was a point where if people remember this, if you had like a top eight or you wanted to change your font or like you wanted to make a color to your background, you had to go into the code for the website and you're looking at like a string of all these like crazy fucking numbers and symbols and like somewhere in there is the word font, but like if you delete the wrong bracket, the whole fucking thing's not going to work. And now at the point we're at in society and time and technology, there's websites like Shopify, or I think Weebly, or I think Squarespace might be one of them. I use Shopify for mine, but I agree. You're now at a point where to change the color of something, there's a little box and it's a user interface and it'll ask you, what color do you want the font to be? How big do you want this box to be? Some of the things you could even like in real time, depending, what you have, you can drag and drop boxes and windows from one location to another. So if you're out there and you're entrepreneurial or you're young, you're just getting started, or wherever you're at in life, and you're thinking, I need a website, but I don't know how to do all this coding shit. I don't know how to build a fucking website. Yeah, you probably actually do. They make it super fucking simple. So just want to shout that out. I always try to provide value to the listeners here. I think you're doing that, but some things I just like to highlight so people can take these quick little tips. But Chris, I love everything you're saying. I love how you're
I
kind of
love
reminding
what
me
you're
to be.
saying, man, because you're right. Like this is what we're doing. We're educating. Like this is the whole point of why I'm bringing it up, because we want young people to understand that things are now more user friendly because of the UI that people have overlaid on all these commands and have made it easier for for the end user, right? For the common person. The gig economy is here. The entrepreneur is here. People are now actually utilizing the internet if they want to properly to gain the knowledge to have more abilities to better their lives and not rely on the system that's already in place. They're creating their own new system and getting this, the organic reach to their neighbor and everybody else, locally and globally through the internet. Like if you have a good product and you're a good person, and it's something people can believe in, or maybe it's just something they need, right? Maybe it's a homemade candy or your grandma's like apple pie recipe. Who knows, man? But it can blow up, and then you don't need your tech job anymore. You don't need to be a mechanic. Maybe right? Maybe you're a mechanic and you really love art. Well, now due to the universe that we live in and this metaverse and going into what I'm calling the wired, you're going to be able to just lean into what you're good at, and you're not going to have to be a mechanic. I mean, to feed your family and to keep the lights on.
Yeah, that barrier to entry used to be significant for the technical part of everything. I remember just doing the Facebook stuff, and I mean, or sorry, it's Facebook. I remember doing the MySpace stuff, and that was relatively simple, and even that was fucking confusing. And half the time, you'd break your whole fucking page. So yeah, now everything is like, again, don't get intimidated by the technical jargon and HTML and Linux. It's all so fucking simple. It's all boiled down to the point where you're basically saying, "Hey Siri, build me a website." And it's not exactly like that, but it's almost like that. It's like they put this computer in front of you and you're just telling it what you want in normal human terms and it's doing all the code for you. So 100%, I think people should go after that. And then even if that's like and I think that's simple enough and if you're entrepreneurial, you should have at least I think enough energy to do that. However, I think everyone should go for it. So somehow if that's still like, well, that still sounds like too much. There's Etsy out there. There's eBay. Like there's so many other platforms where you just upload your items and there's already a format. So do not let anything stop you if you have a desire.
I agree. One thing that I think inspired me some years ago, because I have some nieces and nephews, I was watching Big Hero 6. I think everybody loves the movie. Baymax is great, right? Um,
Everyone
but
loves the movie. What?
Baymax is great. That
I
was
have
the
never even heard of that. So maybe I will love it, but I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, because I do believe that's the name of the this medical assistant robot in this Pixar film called Big Hero 6. And but he lives in a world
Oh, Baymax is not a separate movie. It's the character from this movie you're saying?
correct. Yes, it is a
Oh,
it's like
that shows how horrible my memory is with movies. I've seen this movie and I did it was like foreign language to me. Gotcha. Sorry. Go on.
yeah, I think he lives like in like Neo San Francisco or Neo Tokyo or whatever. It's like a blending of the two words, if I remember correctly. Anywho, um, but the little kid, he has a advanced 3D printer, using additive material in his garage, and he's able to lean in what he likes to in tech, and he creates these wonderful things, innovative things in his garage. That is the actual future we're going into when I say like the wired, and how it's going to be in 50 years, even further, like 70, 100 years.
You said that twice. What
um,
is this, The Wired?
the wider is it's going to be what the metaverse actually turns into.
This is your term? This is like industry term?
No, this is mine. It's going to become an industry term.
Love it.
Yeah. It's what the metaverse is going to eventually actually merge into, and become where it truly is interacting. We are interacting with it daily in our reality, and at some point, people and humans will be born into society, and they won't know any better, and everything they do will be part reality, part simulation with this. They're calling it XR, so it's a mixture of virtual reality and alternate reality, and blending the two so that you can physically touch things in front of you and interact with it, right? Um, so as that
Yeah. Now,
starts
Chris,
to blend
you're
into what
you're
we
op
do.
I was sorry to cut you off. You're optimistic about this, right? You sound like you think everyone's going to adopt this and it's going to be wildly successful. A lot of people are skeptical about it. I'm with you. What would you say to people who are skeptical? Like, just make a quick point. I sorry to keep cutting you off, but make a quick point here. Like what has you so confident?
Time, literally the passing of time. The consumer and everybody else, we don't have a choice or dictation over this piece of the future that is rapidly approaching and will become part of our normal societal way of interacting with each other, the world around us, payments, transportation, uh, on the battlefield. I mean, on many different levels, space travel. Um,
Chris, again, I agree with you 100%. I want to try to onboard as many people as possible. So I try to make things simple. I try to make them dumb simple, like a child would understand, because that's the best way that I understand is when people do that for me. And some
okay,
people are like, "Are you talking down to me?" And I'm like, "No,
let's go
sorry.
with. So there was a Harry Potter game some
Wait, hold
years
on.
ago. Oh, go ahead.
Wait, let me bring up. Sorry, I want to get to this point. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm being rude. I'll do this and I'll let you run. I just want to throw out here to paint the picture for people. So I think a lot of people have heard of Roblox. It's one of the most popular games, or you could even call it an online existing metaverse that a lot of kids are playing right now. It may even be one of the most popular in the world. I don't know the exact amount of users. I think it's in the millions, but just picture this. This is exactly to Chris's point. This is what I want to touch on here. So you see how fucking 100% right Chris is and why we're both so confident. We're going to end up in a world where the entire baseline of society, all of the young people, the youth, like the mainstream generation, right? Because in America, it's really the youth that forms the mainstream. All of them are going to be coming from a childhood where it's second fucking nature to exist in a metaverse, to interact like this, to behave like this, to have digital currencies, to be visiting your friends like in the Chipotle in Roblox. Like I went into Roblox once and I got a coupon at the Chipotle in the virtual world, used it in the real world. Like this is real shit. And yeah, people who didn't grow up with computers are still alive today. And some people find this intimidating. But you're right. The passage of time is unstoppable. And when you have a world full of people that literally were born with this and don't even know anything else, they're going to be thinking, what's next? And the obvious answer is the metaverse. feel bad I keep cutting you off, but I just want to like these points seem important to me. But yeah, really what's important is highlighting you, your passion. So go on, and I'm gonna just try to let you run.
No, you're good, dude. Don't apologize. You know, we are friends. We are V Friends United here, and we're both, knowledgeable on it, right? And I love the fact that you're supportive of this, and then you're kind of, disseminating what I'm saying to the audience. So this is what it's all for, and I appreciate you just having this space and having me on.
Good.
So
Thank you. Yeah, I get a lot of feedback. I tend to cut people off and talk over people because I get so fucking excited. Some people get it, some people get really offended. So I've been trying to implement that feedback because I'm genuine about trying to be a better person. So even if I don't do it on purpose, I'm trying to be better, trying not to be rude. Thank you for understanding and being supportive. And I'm just looking to find that balance. But go ahead.
yeah, man. I have, very few sayings that I or mottos, but growth and progression over oppression and depression is one of them. So keep working on being a
Say that
better
one more
person,
time.
bro. Growth and progression is better than oppression and depression.
Never heard that. I love it.
Yep. So always keep trying to become a better person. I mean, it's not easy, but one step at a time. And even if you take 5 steps back, that's okay. Just don't get stuck, right? Um, so yeah, no, I really think that's what's going to happen, man. People are going to get into the wired, and the technology is right now on the cusp. That's part of why I've brought my services public and getting plugged in. And I've met a wonderful person who's now helping me, and her name is Jasmine Vaccaro. We're having a joint venture as well, VXC. So this is the first time we'll ever be speaking about it, and probably won't myself say much after this, unless it's maybe in a V friend space or with you again or whatever. Um, but it's a good thing. There's several products that will be coming out of this venture with her, and it's going to be good for everybody. It's going to kind of bring forth some of these things I'm speaking of, like the wired and some of these very plausible technologies that will be semi like implementable. Uh, I cannot say that word. Anywho, they'll be able to be applied, in the next 20 years on a mass
Implementable.
scale. Um, so I don't want to give too much away, I mean, I know it's just me and you here, but I mean, maybe I should just go. I should go a little wild. I mean, people are gonna
I mean,
probably
it's
refer
me
back
and
to
you,
this.
but this is also going to get broadcast on the podcast. I want you to give it all away. I want you to tell us everything. I want people to know the alpha's here and this is a great space to come to. But I also want to be respectful. So yeah, it's just me and you, and we got Hishmad here. By the way, shout out Hishmad. He's been on, or he or she, I total respect. They've been to a lot of the spaces and the podcasts we've had. So shout out Hishmad. But yeah, tell us as much as you want. I'd love to hear all of it. But full disclosure, someone could listen later or do a replay.
Yeah, yeah, just if they're in the space, if they're really thinking what I'm thinking, they'll be able to put it together anyway. It's like I was saying, there's some really new technologies that just got released that are on the cusp of bringing forth the things I'm speaking on. Because I'm gonna bring it to the reality anyway. So that's what it really comes down to. Um, I'm not too worried about it, but I mean, Intel, NVIDIA, Qualcomm, sister chips, all these, the ability to now have, I mean, just to be able to create different materials to increase the capacity load of, voltage of like energy through these capacitors, through these microchips, through, these, even down getting to the quantum level. There's a lot of actual breakthroughs that are happening on a much higher scale that nobody's paying attention to. Um, these are the things I've been tracking for 20 years. I mean, I'm a young man, but it's been very important to me for a very long time. Just recently have I decided to pursue going to Duke University to get my own doctorate in quantum material science data. So,
That's
because
impressive.
well, I mean, I just really love what things are made of. I've always loved compounds and how they like working with metal and
Is
you
that a
know
branch of physics?
it would be because you would need to know what the compound is capable of once you've created it, or like what the actual it's like it's like a material science data, right? So that's the
Wait, so
actual
in a few years here, you're going to be a doctor of quantum physics?
correct, but in the
Bro,
sense
that's
of
fucking.
material data.
I
So
don't care what
like
it. I'm sorry. That's fucking gangster as fuck. You understand how fucking gangster you are, but but
yeah,
go on.
thanks, man. I mean, like plastic is made of polyurethane and this and that and blah, blah, and then steel, right? Is made of how much iron, how much this, or how a different blended alloys. So that, but on a quantum level, I want to be able to innovate, engineer, and continue to push forward things. Just in that ability, I want to understand on that level um, of application.
Chris, we're speaking a lot conceptually and philosophically, and it's getting me fired up. I'm dying to know. I know you can't give full details, but what are you working on right now? What is the application of this? Or if you can't say right now, what is like the coolest past example? Like, again, paint the picture here. Like, how do we actually apply this knowledge?
So let me think here.
Just picture Chris like navigating his way through a maze of like NDAs, non disclosure agreements.
You're kind of not wrong. All right, so biofuel. I can talk about my biofuel thing that I experienced, and how that technology can play into we're going to have advancements in actual technology and
The
computing
biofuel
and
that was
AI.
brought you in before you got started on your own thing.
I was part of a biofuel program during my non-for-profit time. So that was 2013 and 2014. It was, oh my God, what was the name of the warehouse we were in? So there's a gigantic produce supplier and grower in Indiana, and we were in a back warehouse of theirs that was heated because it gets cold in Indiana, right? And the company that the biofuel I was making was with algae on was the name of the company. Great genius guys, but they didn't know how to do much of anything else. So that's part of why I was there. You run the mechanical stuff, run CNC machines, create the whole ability to grow the algae and the proper
Were they making
setup and
fuel from algae? And if so, for like what, cars, planes, everything?
jets. So we were piloting it with the local Air Force there. And it burned real well and real good, and it fucking it was impressive, man. I was like, yo, these guys did science the shit out this. Um, Yeah, man, and it's just, I mean, it's pretty simple at the end of the day. I mean, you just grow algae and transfuse it and draw it out, and then do your thing to it, and bam, you got jet fuel, boys.
Simple.
Simple. That's right, man. Just give it a little kiss. Um, but that being able to blend with like the the technology of just like better when things are made out of better materials, whether it's better heat resistance or kind of conductivity, um, the weight of it, the way it may you may need it to actually do something under stress for a functional purpose, right? You need it to be semi not rigid. It needs to have some kind of flex in it, possibly. All these things that come into actually understanding the material used in a product can lead to efficiency, or to the longer life of it. Different applications. Look at what Neuralink was talking about last night with Elon Musk and the power coils. Well, if you look at the power coils and then look at, it's going to sound nerdy as hell, but look at Dimension W, the anime, and how they've actually quantified more of what people have been doing for ages. As humans, we write sci-fi. A lot of the sci-fi we write is based off of actual theoretical things, real things that were going on at that time, maybe some, philosophy, but it's all within the realm of possibilities. Not often is sci-fi written on a super crazy, tangent all the time, where it's based in some alternate reality. So we're
If I bet
finally kind of go ahead.
Isaac Asimov, would I be a rich man?
What's that?
I said, if I bet $1 million that you're into this guy, Isaac Asimov, would I be a rich man?
I've never heard of them.
Oh shit, I'm broke. Well, you should check him out. So Isaac Asimov, I don't honestly know a ton about him personally, but he is one of the foremost major science fiction writers of our times. I honestly don't know if he's still alive, but he did contribute majorly to the genre. So if anyone likes sci-fi, feel free to check that out. Chris, something I'm wondering here as you're talking, it's a little bit of a different direction, but I'm wondering, like, you went from the military to nonprofits. In my head, military is very like, I don't know, maybe the opposite of a nonprofit in the way I see it. So like, military is like, I mean, they're both positive, right? But one's positive in a way of like, to put it bluntly, maybe killing people to save your country kind of thing, which is patriotism. But one is like biofuels. And I don't know, like I could see, a person doing it. Obviously, you're doing it, but could you like talk through that a little bit? Could you explain that to me? Like, what made you want to go to the military? And then, like, was it that same motivation that pushed you through, or is it something else?
Wow, thanks for asking me this, man. Nobody ever asked me why I joined. It's kind of a unique story. Um, so I was already working at Liebherr Mining Company while I was like still in high school because I had went through a trade school, a welding program in Suffolk, Virginia, which was tied to the Norfolk Naval Shipyard. So you got to learn to their curriculum so you could immediately like be on board it to the shipyard. I excelled at flux core welding, so I went to Liebherr. In the early 2000s, most people who were listening will remember the site may be still around. It was called like rotten.com. I'm a pretty punk rock guy. I still believe that I am. I love our country, but we're not perfect. Um, and I saw some pretty not cool things happening to women and children on rotten.com, and I trace sourced it doing my young hacker stuff, whatever you want to call it. Like, and I changed my mind and joined the army. I was
Wait, real
I
quick, by the way, because you're saying a lot of things that I know about, but I know like aren't necessarily common knowledge, or I think aren't. Maybe in the Web3 space, they more so are, but gonna clarify anyway. Rotten.com, or if you've heard of like liveleaks.com, or there's other sites like this, show I think it like people call it gore porn. It's not actually porn, it's like food porn, like any type of porn is like uh extremism of whatever that thing is. So food porn isn't sex, it's really cool things with food. Gore porn is horrible. It's like decapitated people or people like with their intestines hanging out from like a war or surgery or something. Usually things that like would get filtered off Google or whatever, but the internet's the internet. So, you don't always have to go to the dark web to find this shit. Some of it's on things like rotten.com or live leaks. I keep hearing Chris. It's so funny. Chris is like almost like a copy of myself in so many ways. I mean, everyone's similar and different in their own ways. I'm not a military guy, but the anime, like the tech, all these things. So I think that's cool. But yeah, that's what he's talking about. There is stuff out there. Hopefully, you don't go to look at it. I mean, I did, so I can't judge you if you do. And it made Chris want to, make a change in the world. So maybe sometimes you do have to see the darkness of the world to kind of inspire the light. But yeah, just wanted to clarify. That's what rotten.com is.
mean, you got a point. It made me a punk rock kid who had been the protest and was all like black bandanaed out to like, wait. Let me join. See how. Let me try this out. See if I like it. Like whatever. see if I can make a difference. Like I knew I was going to get deployed regardless because like that's what happens when you join the army. Um, so I took it serious, and I guess I kind of lucked out. I don't know how to like say this in a whatever way, but I got attached to a very good, rapidly deploying combat unit. I was with 710. I was with the 7th Squadron, 10th Cavalry Regiment, the Buffalo Soldiers. They reenacted them when the Iraq War kicked off, and you can see some of our squad in the Fahrenheit 9/11 movie by Michael Moore or whatever that guy's name is, and Donnie Roberts is in that movie. He's or documentary. It's not a movie. It's a documentary. It's a live documentary of them doing of my troop back then. Well, they were a troop. Now we were a squadron doing raids on light skin
Wait, and there's
Humvees.
a documentary about your particular troop?
Correct. Yeah. So if you go watch Fahrenheit 9/11, a lot of those dudes riding around in those light skin Humvees. That's 10th. That's 710. That's early 710. Donnie Roberts is in there. He got an award for being a point man for over 200 missions. 200 raids, I guess you could say. Um, guys, I think that takes a lot of guts. Let me put it that way. But when I met him, of course, it was years later. He joined before I was still a kid when he went. When I met him, he was in his mid 30s. I was in my early 20s, and the guy would drink himself to sleep. Wonderful guy, good to his kids, but I mean, he didn't. I don't think he enjoyed the aftermath of being that gutsy guy. Um, but yeah, I got stationed with them. I was supposed to go to Fort Drum with 10th Mountain Group, and I got sent to Fort Carson, Colorado, with the 10th Cavalry, attached to the 4th Infantry Division, which is known as the Ivy Division. We're known for like Normandy on D-Day and big operations in Vietnam, including air cav operations. Technically, actually, my unit caught Saddam Hussein. If you talk to anybody who's from 4th Infantry Division and was there on that deployment, we did find him. And 10th Group, 10th Special Forces is on the same base, Fort Carson, Colorado. So when we deploy, they deploy and they're doing
You
their own
personally were
thing.
that like you were in the unit for this mission?
Me personally, I was not. So I was still in high school when Saddam was captured. I'm only 32. Um, but
I'm
my
horrible in time. I'm 30, so I probably know.
it's okay, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the 4th Infantry Division, 7th Cavalry, 10th Regiment, we found Saddam. The 10th Special Forces Group is within the same like operational AO, like the same, like we were even on the same base on state side, what they call garrison. So we're on the same base on garrison side. So when we found Saddam, we radioed it in, had special forces come pick him up, and like we don't need the credit, we don't need whatever. Like that's why it's not really in the news like that. It's 10th Group got
And
him.
it's a good thing they found Saddam and not Osama, because I think, to my understanding, all those guys are dead.
Yeah, yeah. Now they are. Yeah,
Did they
yeah.
all go down the same plane? Am I remembering this story correctly?
N- um, No, no. Osama was gotten by teams like SEAL Team Six or whatever, and I mean,
I
that whole
thought, and
mess
I
with
could be
like,
totally wrong. This could be tabloid. I thought I heard a story that SEAL Team Six, like, was in a helicopter, or something like that, and they like literally all died. That's just a rumor or something, or maybe you didn't hear about that, or maybe I'm totally wrong.
no, I mean there's been operations in the past where like certain Chinooks were hit with like QRF teams that were filled with team guys, but the Osama mission, to what I can recall to the best of my knowledge, is that there was a top secret Black Hawk that for whatever reason had a malfunction and went down during the operation. So they had to thermite it to burn everything out and leave it behind. That was the only hiccup during the Osama compound. op to what I can recall.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I don't want to spread like false information, but I always keep like an ear open to conspiracies or alternate things. And this is, I guess, a little bit of a tangent, but this is part of what had me curious about the military because at one point, I think I had a similar thought to you. I had considered maybe the military, even though I'm not necessarily like I don't think like a fighter killer kind of person, but I thought maybe I have part of that in me. But part of what deterred me was I've just heard all these stories about like these bad things that happen in the military and I know, like, okay, it's bad. Well, if only bad people join it, it'll stay bad. People got to join and then change it from within. But that was part of what deterred me. I guess just a quick question. We don't have to go off on this, but like, do you hear any like bad stuff? Did you see any like things that kind of like, you saw that stuff on rotten.com and like you had a hero moment. You were literally inspired to go become a soldier and save your country from these horrible things you saw on the internet. Did you like have a second moment when you were over there? Like, did you see anything that made you think, wow, this is fucked up too? Like, the military's fucked up or our government's fucked up, or at least what you were involved in, it was actually all positive and, good from your perspective.
No, this just I'm not gonna blatantly like lie to you. No, like I love my country. We're not perfect,
Wait,
but
no, no,
like
what? No to what?
there was I did not like see the most best of things, and it wasn't like, oh, this is the greatest experience in my life. I didn't mind being there, but right, the things that I saw that I was like, wow, that's some really bad mismanagement. Like wow, that just doesn't make any sense. And like, hey, I took a language course. Like I know what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? Or like, or just people being humans being humans, right? When there's no need to behave that way, and then it's the way it has a ripple effect, right? But I mean, I had I was with a good unit. I was lucky enough to have that, and I took it serious. But I mean, no, I mean, we're not. Nothing's ever perfect, right? I mean, but what I did experience and I did know is that the young people liked us there, and the older people maybe not so much, but they've been in conflict their entire life. I feel blessed that I went to Afghanistan over Iraq. I think that everything would be cool if the Russians kind of wouldn't have like done what they did. Prior to all that stuff, like people were going to college and women wore blue jeans and like, what people don't know is so in Afghanistan, there's not a single tree. So unless you're in the mountains, like up in the mountains, anything that could have been cut down, the Russians deforested all of Afghanistan. There's not a single fucking tree in Afghanistan. There hasn't been for decades.
Is it like hard to breathe over there? This might be a stupid question, but I know Crees make like, oxygen. Like, is that like an issue? Like, this could be a dumb question, but like, obviously people live over there. It's not an issue, but I don't know. Like, did you feel strained breathing or something? Like, is that even a thing?
Um, no, I see what you're saying because I mean, no, yes and no. Like like it's like there's a bird pit on some of these major bases and all this other stuff, and there's no. It really destroyed the ecosystem, right? So like that's what's led these people into like selling their children for goats. Like, hey, Mr. Taliban, take my kids so I can feed my other kids because like they've destroyed the actual ecosystem of what was there, and then they have doubly destroyed the economy. You know, I mean, my teacher who taught me Dari, I spent like months in a language course. He had to learn at a Taliban college under Taliban rule to get his education. He even showed us pictures of him like super long beard, big old turban. Um, and then he, of course, works for the Navy and was teaching people how to speak Dari. And, um, but it's just crazy. Like people don't really get it. Like they don't understand that right now, even in Afghanistan, like there's such a food shortage for infants and such that infants are dying. Like infants are starving to death. There's nothing. Anywho, I don't want to get on that like box, but uh,
Sometimes you gotta. You're
I
talking
mean, it's
about
just
real shit. So I'm with it. Like
well,
I said, bro, I
thanks.
like to expose, the dark and then bring the light to it. And if you don't, you can't fix things. So People got to know about this shit. And that's literally what got you involved. You saw some of the darkness in the world and it was such like a visceral, like guttural reaction. Like you literally changed your whole life because of it. So, like I said before, it's like, yeah, don't go on there, for fun, quote unquote, but sometimes you got to see it. Sometimes you got to say it. Sometimes you got to get up on that box.
I mean, you kind of got a point because, like, not to be graphic, but like I saw that they were skinning women and children alive for whatever fucking difference that they were deciding on, and I
Who,
was like, jihadist,
Jesus, skinning alive? Fuck, bro. Yeah, man, fuck.
like a butcher shop, bro, like hung up on fucking hooks. Um, so
That makes
I was like,
fucking
yeah,
sick. Like,
I went
thank
from
you, but thank you for service.
punk rock and angry to like, well, I guess I'm punk rock angry and about to join the army. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't care who you are, what religion you are. There's no excuse to do that to a human being. Like, I don't like that's just evil, bro. That's just evil. I don't care where you're from, who you are. Like, that and children, right? Like there's a line I draw in the sand that every human being draws in the sand. Even the worst of the worst draw a line in the sand. Like, if you hurt a child and go to prison, you usually don't come out of prison once people find out you hurt a kid. Um, so
Right.
it's just,
Repugnant to
you
even the
know,
other prisoners, and they fucking kill you in there for it.
right. So like I felt like no matter what I felt about politics or the military machine and this and that and the third and whatever my punk rock views were, like, right, like didn't matter more than humanity, does it? Like if that was my sister, like if that was happening to my neighbor, like down the street, like for me, like, and I like, dude, I mean, that's just terrifying. Like I'd want somebody to drop in and do something about it.
Dude, 100%. And I was saying this, but I was kind of talking over you. Dude, thank you for your service. I could have said it earlier. I just slipped my mind, but bro, you're a fucking hero. And I don't mean that in a cliche way. Like everything you're telling me is so incredibly impressive. It's inspiring. And, some people see that darkness and they collapse. It makes them want to give up on the world. And I myself have even felt like that. Sometimes I have, dark emotions or mental health kind of things because there's so much bad in the world. And I wonder, like, over the history of time, has it gotten any better? Are we moving forward? Like, what is the actual balance of good and evil? But then you got someone like you that's just fucking like, well, whatever it is, I'm gonna fucking fight for light and I'm gonna make it fucking better. Now, Chris, I just want to be conscious of time here. We have about 10 minutes left. I try to keep it to about the hour. We go a little over, like that's fine, but try to keep it to about that so the episodes are consistent for the listeners. They listen to the whole thing. If it's too long, find some people don't listen or they drop out. But I'm really enjoying this. So if you want to go a little over, that's cool.
I
Um,
think I'm gonna circle it back around. We're gonna hit it super hard, with some positivity. I'm gonna give people a little bit of extra pizzazz here at the end with some VXC drops. Some stuff I've been sitting on for 10 years. It's gonna kind of circle back around to this tech. We go over a few minutes. I'm sorry, but if y'all stayed, you're gonna get the absolute alpha for the wired. So I hope you're here.
Awesome. I'm fucking pumped. Let's get it. Yeah, so the question I asked that kind of got us in the direction we were was your passion or inspiration for joining the military. We've went over that and then I said, was it a different inspiration that got you into nonprofits? I'm totally understanding the answer is no, it's the same exact passion. You had a passion to want to save the world. It's not like you were like violent and looking to kill people or Call of Duty and you were like, let's do this in real life. It was actually this genuine, beautiful, light motivation. And it's that same wanting to save the world that I believe obviously got you into nonprofits. So just to kind of bring closure to that, that's your passion and I love it. But go on, man.
You're absolutely right. So as I got more income for my injuries from Afghanistan, as the VA gave me more money and I fought my way up the chain, I got more and more into non-for-profit work and consulting and focusing on educating myself to be more usable to these corporations and other people I was advising for, and while inventing a lot of my own things, right? Writing it down, doing poor man's copyrights, all these things I've learned over my lifetime, and just kind of harnessing in. And I've got to meet with Sony executives through the Wounded Warrior Project. I've met a lot of people in Las Vegas. I've met a lot of people at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, just all over the place. That my list of people goes pretty deep. I just don't tell anybody because I'm not a unique snowflake. I'm just the same organic decaying matter as everybody else. Like I don't see myself as some special person. No matter what happens in the future or what limelight may be shined on me or something, like broadcasted on somebody else, I'm just a vessel. I don't like being the front man. I don't like being. I just like cut the ribbon with the people who it's helping. Like don't. I'm good. Um, so
Humble and noble. I love it.
it's just easier that way. It's easy. Like it's just I don't know. Um, but the I guess the real alpha here is that I've been sitting on a I've been sitting on a coin for about 10 years now. The whole technology behind it, utility, use of it, impact, consumers, consumer use, UI. Um, and the big thing is that it's a fizzy digi utility coin. It's not just on the internet on some fake exchange. That's just a bunch of ones and zeros in an unsecure network that anybody can just get into. Um, so it's going to be pretty revolutionary, man. You kind of spoke on something that I think people will be able to quantify about what I'm speaking on with this VXC venture, this Fizzy Digi coin, the Wired. You spoke on Roblox. That is a controlled environment, a protected environment where the user can get on and explore a new world with new things, whether it's building, interacting, purchasing, right? Just simply exploring. Um, but what if it becomes bigger than just Roblox? What if it becomes a whole network and a community and several other products, maybe an exchange? And then there's not just one coin or one fizzy digi coin or a token, but several others as well, built by other communities within this environment, right? So it kind of
When you
just brings this whole go ahead.
there's coins like orders, like what? I feel like no, that's not what you mean. But what's the physical part?
So the physical part is I mean it will be physically minted in metal and precious metals using a different
Oh, you
types of
really will have coins. Like
physic
not
yes, a fizzy digi coin. Absolutely. It will be a physical coin with
$2 grand.
digital assets and abilities.
One go for that. That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, somebody out there might be able to try to take what I'm saying and do whatever, but unless I mean, I've been really following the very specific technology to get this done for a long time. And like I said, I specialize in advanced engineering, and additive manufacturing and all this stuff that I've been doing since I was a kid. Uh, so I'm really not too worried. And plus, nobody knows who I really am, so that's fantastic. It's why I do what I do and the way I do it. Um,
Hey, what the fuck does that mean? You're not really Chris Cavallo?
oh no, I'm doxxed. That's who I am. But there's go scrounge the internet, you won't find anything. Um, yeah, it's just I've purposely ghosted myself. I only use phones that are tied into the network for a reason because I there's certain things I've just been okay with using or now I'm gone public. Um, I don't need any of this stuff. I mean, you could just use a Linux ran Android based phone that completely locks out all communication so you can't be hacked. There's no doxing, there's no nothing. You can't use regular apps because they have no access to the privileges in your phone because you're running it through a sub Linux user, like a OS that is controlling the actual Android interface overlay to prevent all these permissions. So it's possible. I choose to do the opposite in a certain fashion. So that's why I said like I'm not too worried. You know, this whole FTX thing has kind of been, I guess, to my advantage. It's created these curated rooms where there's really great influential people that are, reporters or this or that or CEOs or hedge funds guys. So if you go look at my followers list, well, that's who I've been following. Um, so yeah, it's just going to be a fizzy digi coin. That's my biggest thing I've been sitting on for years, and the technology is finally getting there. And really watching that Neuralink stuff last night with Elon Musk was very. It was just good. It was just great to watch, and then some of the things that are going on with all these different GPU, CPU processing companies, Intel, Nvidia, Qualcomm, AMD, and all these other people that are just randomly making chips now and stuff. The world is just simply advancing, you know, and the ability to do things is coming forth.
Technologically, at least anyway. Culturally, who knows? But yeah, technology.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's culturally it's kind of been Pandora's box. I think the internet has been a little cattywampus. Hopefully society will right itself before we decay as a society. And then I mean just I don't know. I think the wired is either going to help us or harm us, or there's going to be like subsects of people where like some people have evolved and other people have devolved, and it's just who really knows what's going to happen. I'm hoping that what VXC can do will help push humanity towards a better, brighter future of positivity and sustainability, food security. Like that's why I'm creating this Fizzy Digi coin. That's why I'm doing all these things. I don't need or want money. It's just something I've been passionate about my entire life. And I like technology, and I got lucky enough to survive Afghanistan, and then the government gives me a check for living. So I decided to spend my time educating myself instead of chasing down women. I'm kind of a solitary dude. I don't mind it. I think knowledge is power, and power. I'm sorry. Knowledge. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. 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 Knowledge is power, and power is ability. The ability to respond to what life. So like these are our only response abilities, and you gain them from knowledge. So any young men and women out there, like, don't be afraid of just kind of being a little lonely and solitary and having your select few friends and being okay with yourself and within yourself. Organize your thoughts. Infinite intelligence is possible. Look up Dr. Caroline Leaf and her neurocycle. She talks on the neuroplasticity of the brain. You would never know it. I grew up having a huge stuttering problem. I couldn't read that well. I still can't really read that well. It's part of why I joined the army. Um,
Are you dyslexic?
I don't know. I was born this way, I suppose. I was in special ed classes until high school. But I never let anybody define me. That was the thing when they were like, "Oh, you can't read. Oh, you're bad at math. Oh, this, oh, that." I just learned to organize my thoughts, put forth discipline and perseverance, and not let other people's words or the world's views and perception of me define me as a person, because that's not how reality works. Your perception is not my reality, and my perception is not your reality. And people all the time feel that if they word craft or put out like what I call black magic over white magic, which is like black lies over white lies, that you're changing somebody's perception of reality to get maybe what you want: greed, envy, jealousy, destruction, chaos, whatever it may be, right? Um, but you're not changing reality. You're only changing the perception of it. So this cosmic energy that you put out there, doing these things to change people's perceptions in a negative light does nothing but bring forth this cosmic negativity back into your life because you're sowing it into the universe. So I just want to remind people, don't forget that. Like you think you may be changing that person's perception, but the master of the universe knows all your intentions and all the cosmic energy that you put into it. So when there's not pure intentions behind your words and actions, you may get instant gratification now and get the money you need or the whatever you're trying to achieve. But I am here to advise you that unfortunately it will come back. And I don't know when or where. I'm not saying you should be looking over your shoulder, but have the ability to just try to have more pure intentions for yourself and those around you. If you don't like serving soup, then don't go to the soup kitchen. Maybe you're better at mowing lawns. Well, then go mow lawns. Like make that the way that you impact, your community. To put it in the simplest terms, just having pure intentions. But I don't know, man. Just that's kind of what got me, I guess, into not for profits. Just I got more money. I started learning more systems. I spent months and months learning all of the tax codes and then building relationships the next 5 or 10 years. I mean, 7 years, just moving to Vegas and using that knowledge and then networking with people. And I got cars donated from General Motors, and I've got machinery from Haas Automation before, and now I'm putting those skills to use and my network to use. The Sony executives told me, "Hey, when you're ready, reach out." And I was in a room full of 100 other veterans, and they just didn't perk up and didn't, I guess, prompt the executives the certain way. And these tech guys that are inside of PlayStation and inside of Sony proper, and they gave me their information, and now is like the right time, right? So things are coming together, and there's just all these new technologies, and Sony does a lot of stuff in the background with the government. People don't know, but the eye tracking technology that the NASA uses is a proprietary technology that was brought forth by Sony like over a decade ago. And then they piloted it a little bit to the public when Sony showed that with the game Infamous, you could move the character and like shoot stuff on the screen by looking at it, right? By using the eye tracking technology. But that all reverts back to the actual secret program that Sony had with NASA. Um, so there's a lot of stuff like this that I know that other people don't know that I just been following for years because I don't know, I got nothing better to do, I suppose. I mean, um, it's just a
Well, you're
passion of
doing
mine.
wonderful things. I don't think you need necessarily to find something better to do. Bro, I'm loving all of this. Like, I think we'll definitely have to get you on future episodes. We'll have to do like a part two, maybe a part three. I feel like there's like so much. Like, you have so much to say, and all of it's interesting to me. One thing I want to do, since we are running a little over here, I think it would be cool, Hishmat, if you have a question, if you want to request up, you can. If not, that's fine. Chris, my kind of and let's do like cut off here like 8:15, 8:20. Uh my question for you is, from the last kind of positive rant that you went on there, a lot of that sounded bordering on religious to me. Are you religious? We didn't really get into this, but in terms of your passions, your motivations, you're just succeeding in so many ways where other people fail. There's got to be an explanation for it. I would think, other than like pure chance or just a flip of a coin, because it's so consistent. You keep talking about all these obstacles, all these juncture points where someone else might have got deterred or thrown off, and you didn't. You just kept succeeding. For a lot of people, it's something that either comes from their parents, some sort of cultural thing, some sort of religious thing. But, from everything you just said, you're talking about all this really deep stuff about like the universe and the cosmos and energy and like principles of karma and shit coming back on you. Like, do you kind of have your own beliefs that you've woven from other areas, so to speak? Or is there a religion that guides you? Or let's close out on this. But yeah, what is that aspect of you?
Thanks, man. I think I really appreciate you asking that because I don't get religious publicly because it's a very touchy subject for a lot of people. But I am spiritual. I was raised in a Southern Baptist household. I wouldn't necessarily say like I'm a Christian, but I think that's only because of my own personal experiences with religious people of many different sects from many different uh, foundational religions. You know, whether it's Abrahamic or Jewish or Muslim or um, and there was something that I couldn't quite wrap my head around as a kid interacting with a lot of uh, Abrahamic religious people or Christians. They would say things like, well, that Buddhist is going to hell because he doesn't know Christ. And I was like, man, I don't, I just don't think that's how like a Christian God would work. Like how can a Buddhist monk, a warrior monk who's like never left the mountaintop, who just studies nothing but peace and theology and discipline, like how is he going to go to hell because he didn't leave the mountaintop to read a Bible? Like they don't make no sense to me, man. And it's kind of
And to clarify for anyone who's not like familiar, Christian, Catholic, the idea is that there is no way to the Father except through me, said Jesus Christ. Or I think he said that, but that's the idea. And what that means is if you do not accept Jesus Christ as the Messiah, as the Lord and Savior, and you don't accept that Christ died for our sins, and you don't allow him to kind of, martyr himself for you, then you're stuck with your sin because he didn't die for yours and you don't believe in him. And if you have that sin, you're going to hell. And Chris's point is, and I've had this point too. I grew up Christian, and this was a major point for me that I would ask, any mentors or counselors or, priests, whatever, is like, that sounds fucked up. And I don't know if I want to be a part of a religion where, like, you said the Buddhist monk example, and I think they had some fucking thing for that. Well, they're like, oh, we could have found the. I don't fucking know what their example was for that. I thought they were all dumb. But then I was like, well, what if a baby's born and like that? You know what I mean? Like, what if it's a kid? Like, there's so many examples. And to me, they couldn't talk their way out of all of them. So, dude, I agree with you. That's something that got me fired up about religion in general. Is not all of it seems to track, or at least for me.
yeah, exactly. Like I think I mean a master of the universe makes more sense. And then maybe there are or were other gods, lesser gods, Nephilim, whatever, right? But like, I mean, just to say that there's one singular Christian God that did everything and anything, and like he gets to decide that some Buddhist monk burns in hell don't make no sense. So, but I do read a lot. I have recently picked up a book called The Encyclopedia of Lost and Rejected Scriptures. Um, really interesting stuff in here that I can't speak on out loud because there are the powers of the universe listening, so there's certain things that are very, very interesting that have been found in the very recent years that even the Catholic Church spent centuries destroying and massacring these other religious sects because of the certain text and things that they were documenting and writing down.
But you can't tell
S-
us what it is. You're gonna bring it up
w-
and leave us hanging like that.
well, I mean, look, okay, so like the Gospels of Philip, the Gospels of Thomas, the scriptures of Mary Magdalene, which was Christ's wife, which everybody rejects these things. You can look at some of the things I've said to Hart Ramsey on Facebook and these very evangelist pastors that run these mega churches. If you ever mention things from these lost and rejected scriptures that have been found, like so a recent scripture was found in only 1947, another one in like in the 1970s. They were only recently translated because they're very old codex predating language,
Now,
they're
Chris, I'm happy to
predating.
look this up later, but is what you can't say what it is inside of it? Like, can you sum that up? Or because I'm curious, like, what's in there
Yeah,
that they tried
yes,
to.
some of it most definitely I can sum up. It's just the actual the way that things work, the way that people have. It's not a far stretch of imagination for everybody to grasp the fact that the Vatican has every single document they don't want us to know or see or have translated, and that when the any scriptures of any religion were taken from an ancient codex, put into a written language, and then rewritten again, translated into a different tongue.
But
Certain
what is
the
it like?
thing. Oh,
I
hold on,
feel
hold
like
on,
you're
hold on,
saying
hold on.
it's not
Certain
just a lost in translation, like different tongue kind of thing. You're
right.
saying it's
That's
this
things have
intentional,
been removed.
but
Things have been
what,
removed, destroyed,
like,
and
but what? Or you have no idea.
well, right. That's the whole thing is that none of us really have any idea what's been really removed and destroyed and rewritten or reworded. I've been finding Bibles recently from the early 1800s. I'm sorry.
I guess what I'm getting to is
Is it
like, does it
six?
in the most respectful way,
Mhm.
like why do we care? Like, is it like, you know what I mean? Like if they go, oh, Jesus, actually they said he wore bracelets, but actually he didn't. You know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, who gives a fuck? I'm assuming it's obviously more monumental than that, and I'm
Oh
believing
yes.
you, but I'm just still not, because I just can't think of anything. I can't think like, oh, it might be something like this or something like this. Like, is it like the other things you said, like Jesus had a wife, and then that could kind of recontextualize the whole religion? It's like things like that.
Yes, absolutely. That's
Got it.
exactly
Got it. Got it.
what most of it and that's why they have there's direct historical facts that can be pulled up of the crusades that the Catholic Church ran against the Gnostic sect of Christianity, and most definitely through France for over 200 years to purposely seek out, destroy not only these people, but the words and texts they were writing and preaching, because they saw the actual strength behind it and how people were flocking to modesty and the actual contextual being of the way that things are actually fabricated, not the lie that's been predicated and given to us. Like,
Do you
the
have a guess or an idea to what the truth is or may be that you kind of, hold true to yourself and you're hoping it gets exposed? Or you're just kind of looking here going, I know for a fact we don't have the full picture and I don't know what it is. I just know we don't have it.
I would say I guess a bit of both because as I'm reading a lot of these things, it's making sense. Like, oh wow, that makes more sense that the universe or the way things are or were are now are constructed or the way that people behave in this modern era. And then looking at like historical facts and then lining up with other religious events that have happened with the Catholic Church and or other different religions, whether it may be a Muslim religion or even a Hindu religion, and just how that kind of plays out to what these scriptures are actually depicting compared to what has been translated for the everyday Bible that people have been reading, at least in the Western world, for the Abrahamic religion. It's
Chris,
really interesting.
I agree. This is fascinating
Sorry.
to me. Like I'm like struggling here to like want to like wrap this up so it's like a consistent kind of episode length, and I'm like I just want to keep fucking talking because like this shit that gets I could talk about this for 6 days and not stop. Um, but a couple pieces I want to get out here. Uh, you threw out a crazy concept, and you've been doing this the whole time. You throw out these words, and I don't know if you think everybody knows them, but I do. That's the funny part. I know everything, single fucking thing you've said so far. If not, I've asked. But you said in the film, bro. I don't think most people, and I could be wrong, but I don't think most people know what the fuck Nephilim are, bro. That is a wild and crazy concept, though. So to people who don't know, it is literally half human children of angels that like were talked about, I believe, in the Bible, that angels came down, had sex with fucking humans, had a kid, and then the film were these like half angel fucking half human creatures that if you actually believe in the stories, like you believe in this. Uh
Well,
do you think that's fucking real, or like
I
what's your, you
think
gotta
there's a lot of things that are real that people don't understand or want to conceptualize, and they don't. I think a lot
but
of people don't even want to conceptualize what a angel or a demon really is, or what a false Holy Spirit or a real Holy Spirit may be, and how it's presented to us, and how
But that's why I'm
I don't.
bringing it up. Let's do it for these
Yeah,
fucking fuckers. Like what? Because I do this. I've fully fleshed this out in my head. And I kind of have like a little picture. That's why I asked you, do you have a little picture in your head? I have this little picture in my head. There's missing pieces, but it's like this puzzle that's coming together kind of nice, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
But I'm
some
saying,
of these
like,
things
in
are
your puzzle, what
so.
is the definition of this piece? Like, what is an angel to you? Is it a real thing? Is it a concept? Like, do you believe there's Nephilim? And if there is Nephilim, half angel, half human creatures, well, then there's like half human, half something else hybrids that might have descendants that are walking around today. Like, this is what I mean, flesh it out. These are the implications of these ideas. Do you think that that's true? Because that's like, people think this is insane. Like, but I don't, because it's right there in the text, and I don't think anything disproves it. But do you? I'm just curious, and sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. But do you like believe it's real, or how would you define an angel or yeah? How would you define an angel or a demon or like an extra dimensional, extra sensory entity?
I am a believer in such that people don't understand the separation of Satan and Lucifer, and the actual role of the two different entities and what they do in this universe, and the actual angels and demons that help construct this realm.
But wait,
Um,
before you go on, what are those?
mhm,
I'm sorry I'm harping on this, but this is like important for people. What are those? Like, forget Satan, Lucifer, like the differences between
mhm.
those two. That assumes we even know what the fuck it is and believe it. What is it? Is it just a human that people wrote about? Like, is angel a title? That's what I'm saying, bro. Is it a real thing to you? To me, it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I do. I am a firm believer that there is um, other energies outside of the ones that we emit ourselves, and that there is
Energies or
um,
physicalities,
both, like because that's how physicality manifests, right? That's how
right?
we
But if
that's how
there's a
we manifested.
physicality, where did they come from? Where do angels come from? If angels are real, and angels at one point were on this planet, or maybe they are now, but at one point were in the public eye and written about, where the fuck did they come from?
Look, dude, the shit that I've been reading, it's been very, very particular that you cannot say this shit out loud. Like some of these things, you literally cannot speak. Like so, like I will tell you what I can,
Can you
but
tell
like
me why? Because I want to be respectful of that. I'm into this energy shit. I obviously don't want to like incur anything. No one has like warned me, and I don't know what I'm
it's
incurring. Like
it's
what?
it's it says in these texts very clearly that if you fuck man, even leading on to the fact that you have this knowledge and if you're not passing it within secretiveness, that it that the forces to be are alerted to the fact that you are more or less waking up, and it is not um, a fucking positive thing to be tracked by these.
Because
Um,
they're like evil.
I wouldn't say that, but the
Because like if
master,
it's real,
they
they
are the
be
curators. They
party.
are the curators. They're people think that God is the curator. People think that the master of the universe is the curator, and that's where the whole fucking misconception is. He is the creator, but not the curator. And I can't use certain specific language or say names because then it's like, but dude, there's well over 100 names of certain entities that had very specific roles in the creation of the realm that we operate within, if that makes
Chris,
any sense.
I'm not gonna make you say anything you don't want to say, and I believe you. I understand. People probably listening, by the way, think we're absolute batshit crazy, with which I'm totally fucking okay with for like believing in this shit. Which and that's another reason some people don't like to talk about it is the opinions. But then yours is even deeper. It's like, no, I really believe in this shit, and I believe there's a light and dark at these levels of angels and demons, and I don't want to be on the roster. Bro, I'm probably on the roster. I haven't really. No one warned me early enough. I've been talking about this shit for years. I talk about this shit with like everybody I fucking meet like in person if I'm talking to them for long enough. So I'm just gonna put shit out there. I'm not going to say any names, but my view of these things, my conception, and this is why I was asking Chris these questions. People think this is crazy, but if you read the scriptures, I think these things were real. I think they're no different than aliens. Like, however you want to describe it, whether they're from another planet, another dimension, or wherever it is, I don't think they're humans. I think they have been on this planet. I think they have interacted with humans. Most of the early societies that exist in their history literally wrote down what happened. How'd you get here? Well, these aliens came down. They kind of taught us language and a bunch of shit. And then they told us to build these giant fucking pyramids and align them with the stars. That's literally the history. That's what the people who is the first-hand account wrote down. Usually in history, if it's like Civil War, you trust a first-hand account almost over anything else. In ancient history, you go, oh, that's cute. These people were probably stupid or fucking lying, or like this is an analogy, or they made it up. What if they told the truth? What if, like, at a time where barely even most people in these populations could write, and writing was of the utmost importance and intelligence, it was like a very respected role to be like a scribe in Egypt, like that they weren't fucking around. They weren't just writing fake stories or like bullshit. I think it's, and I believe it, but I don't really believe in anything. I just think it's probable. I wouldn't like commit to
Exactly,
anything because I'm
exactly. I
always
think
open.
I right,
I
and I
think
mean
it's most
it's
probable.
yes, absolutely. I mean, and I'll just say what's called. So this is from the Apothryphon of John, Apocryphon of John. Um, and like you said yourself, I mean, if you really want to know what's going on, just go find this. This is the stuff that I won't, I refuse to speak out loud. Some of these things I can, but other things it clearly says like don't say anything. I shouldn't even be saying it here. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I'm even doing myself right here, right now. So, I mean, but I'm not using actual names. So I think I should be all right. Um, but
If
like you
they
said,
ask
you're,
you if you know me, tell them you don't. You'll be safer. I'm definitely on 10 lists. I'm on
well,
all of them. I'm a red
that's I
fucking
was going to
alert.
give the good news here. See, that's part of the good news still in these lost scriptures is that even if you're on the list, it clearly says that you can be lost and hounded and you can be thrown in and these people will do horrible things to you if you've been found and then lost, but that you can still come out the other side and you'll be renewed. So so it even says because it asks like, okay, what happens um with people who just make different decisions in life, right? Like if you were found and then lost, and what if you were never found, and what if you that's like the ignorance thing, right? So if you're like out in the bush, you've never, you're still rubbing sticks together, and it's 2022. Like it's very clear that the actual Lord and the Master of the Universe doesn't um see that as you're going to go to hell. Um, it's just here. Let me. So, like it says here, like, and the Lord said, "Where will the souls go from those who have gained knowledge, but afterwards turned away?" Then he said to me, "They will go to the place where the angels of misery," and then it puts in parentheses, "abject poverty, go. This is the place where there is no repentance, escape. There they will be kept with those who have blasphemed the Spirit. They will be tortured and punished forever and ever." I said, "The Lord
Jesus Christ. I guess
from."
I got to see this through.
Yeah, and then it says, "Where does this is the stuff I can't speak on," but it says, it says, "I said, Lord, where does the false spirit come from, like the evil spirit?" And it goes into some really great details here that I you're gonna have to physically read, because if anybody's ever seen The Mummy, you just don't go read out of the Book of the Dead. So, um, just really the Encyclopedia of Lost and Rejected Scriptures by Joseph B. Lumpkin. It was recently published, I think like 2017, but it's been a lot of these things have been transcribed from codexes over the last 100 years, and finally a team of scholars compiled it into one book. Um, like I said, I've approached a lot of these lost and rejected scriptures to other gigantic pastors in these evangelical mega churches, and they were instantly calling them extra biblical and shooting them down and saying those are false lies and that was written by whoever. And I said, yeah, but wasn't it all written by man, and wasn't it all transcribed, and wasn't it so are you saying that things weren't removed, that the Bible you're reading right now to your congregation is the original text? Because like we already know it's not. Like we've gone and found the original stuff from Ethiopia already and all these other things as
Yeah, plus the
you
Dead Sea
know
Scrolls, all that stuff.
correct. So that is in these lost and rejected scriptures. So that's part of the things that they speak on here, like the Gospels of Philip were found in Nal Hamed, Egypt, in 1940 something, but due to the world wars, it wasn't able to be translated until the 70s, and it hasn't been put on paper until now. So it's really incredible because I feel that there's probably a lot of this in a lot of different religions all over the world, and that because we are losing the contextual physicality in the actual scripts that we're running in, because like we're living in the matrix, right? Like the coding that we're living in this realm, we don't understand the coding because somebody's giving us the wrong program. They're giving us like this the wrong stuff, and
I
we
don't
have a
think they're giving us the wrong stuff per se, and obviously you're entitled to that opinion. One idea I want to throw out that's come up on other podcasts, not in the same way, but this idea that it's actually a puzzle and maybe an intentional puzzle. So if you could get yourself to put your headspace in this wild, crazy people me and Chris are here and believe this shit or consider it, if the aliens were real and they were the ones that created religion and they started all these different religions in different places around the world for different people and they wrote them all different, there's this idea that in every religion or in all religions or whatever, or most or whatever it is, that there's an actual, or all religions, I guess, that came from them or stemmed from them, these alien angel beings, that there's pieces of actual truth, and that religion is like a test or like a maze or something where you start with one, and as you go through it, if you're actually at the level of spiritual preparedness or knowledge or life lessons or whatever it is, or I don't know, you're just
spiritual
a certain
insight, let's
type of
say, right?
person. What?
Like, let's just call it spiritual insight.
Right. But I also don't want to insult people who don't have it, so like whatever we call it, don't feel like
Yeah,
whatever, but yeah, I'm just being genuine here. I do think this is the right way,
and
but I
and
also
you're
don't
right,
want to
because
offend
that's
anyone who
exactly
does.
what these texts say, is that the knowledge is just gone, and it is not gone because man hid it. It's gone because the creators
We
who created
forgot how
us
to
hid
put
it.
it together.
Correct.
And that's
um
what I think. So, yeah, that's what I think it is. I think actually all the religions and all the knowledge in the world is a puzzle. And you have to figure out what are the base commonalities among all religions? What are the things that between the
mhm.
differences get rid of like all or most of the differences? What do like all or most religions agree upon? And if you expound on that, that is like this real and maybe tangible spiritual truth.
Exactly. And to finish this up and to close it out, it says right here in the Gospels of Philip that things will be shown to us and revealed to us through symbols and numbers, and like right, like it just says symbols and numbers. It says numerically and symbols, which could be characters, alphanumeric. But that the Holy Spirit, the things in this realm, the master of the universe, whoever they may be or whatever, will present themselves to us in a form that we will understand, which is, I'm assuming, the human form, and that numbers and symbols are the way that, like, I guess miracles are actually shown to us. Like, it's not super clear, but it's just like, hey, like, if you're looking for it in the certain way of an, I guess enlightenment, whatever, I mean, or it kind of says it comes to everybody, right? Like you don't have to be this spiritually insightful person. You just have to allow your mind to be open to the idea that, maybe somebody is trying to convey something to you or lead you in what I call a fate decision. So you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, making this fate decision that's leading you closer to your destiny or further away from your destiny. And it's our free will given to us by the, master of the universe to decide what we're going to do. Um, so yeah, it's just, that's it doesn't say anything else about like, oh, it's only Jesus, it's only, this one God or whatever. It says, yeah, there's a creator, the master of the universe. Some of these other texts from other people say, there's all these other lesser beings and all these other things, right? But the most prevalent thing that I think, like you're talking on, we're saying it transcends every language, every religion, to where it probably may gives more authority and some validity to what we're all maybe thinking in the reality and realm we're living in, is that things are presented to people in signs and symbols and things that we can quantify like that, because we couldn't quantify somebody walking up to us and it being, a different species, right? Like, or whatever. um which that's a whole nother thing. I don't know why I said that, but um people say miracles happen. It's usually through numbers and signs and symbols and whatever. So,
Wait, what was that? I know you said you don't know why you said it, but what was that you said about a different species? You're saying like if these things are extra dimensional creatures and then they're incarnating into the physical plane from a higher plane, we may use our minds to kind of give them a form that's acceptable to the human mind, but their true form may be so like powerful or beyond human comprehension that we can't
um,
actually see it or experience it. I've heard of that in like movies and stuff, and like that.
maybe, but this text says the complete opposite. A lot of this text says they come in our form. They just do, like you said, they replicate with another vessel, another body. They replicate humans vessels, right? They to present themselves in that manner, or they can possess a human vessel. But usually it's through, coming down intercourse, whatever. At least that's what this text usually says. Is that's how they started to replicate. Like Cain and Abel, they were actually two um, higher yet lesser gods that were made into Cain and Abel, and to hide their actual purpose or power within this realm, to control the kind of more destiny over man. But it starts getting deep into how we were created and things it says we're not supposed to talk on. You just got to read it. But well, even another thing in Gospels of Philip, it says like how who is it? Oh my God, because I'm sorry. Please don't kill me over this. But whoever it was, Cain, no, Abel, who's killed his brother, right? Um, it was saying how he was conceived. He committed murder and then was conceived through
I think
adultery.
Cain.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me without me like going and looking for this actual passage. Um, but it was clear that he, murdered, committed murder, and then committed adultery, and then that actual cosmic energy followed his bloodline, followed the other vessels that were replicated from his energy, through that negative energy, and then that's kind of the whole like generational curse thing that people speak of, but they don't understand that it's deeper than the world is now letting on, because they just want you to be like, hey, tithe to your church. Um, it's kind of clear that it says that the master of the universe is a dyer, and we are but a cloth. So things that can be put onto this white cloth sometimes will penetrate and leave a deep stain, and it can't be removed. So you have to watch what you do, because certain things can't be pulled back out once they've been dyed in, and other things will pass right through and won't stick at all. Uh, the way they word craft some of these things, and the way it is, I don't want to say word craft, because I just believe this is the way the codex was written, and it makes sense why the Catholic Church would spend 200 years seeking out these people, destroying their literature, and massacring them on a genocidal scale, to where they literally no longer exist. And there is historical documents showing the 200-year crusade across multiple continents against people writing these types of texts. Um, so that's part of why I'm like, whoa, 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 there must be something here. I'm not necessarily a super religious person. I'm more spiritual, I guess, to kind of answer the question that we've been going on here about. Um, but that's why I read a lot of text from a lot of different religions. But if this is, if the Catholic Church 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, were crusading across multiple continents to destroy these texts and these people, there's power in here. There's something important because nobody does that. Not even today in modern times does the government of anything or anybody go out of their way to seek something and destroy it or obtain it or replicate it, whatever it may be, unless they're trying to wield it and harness it for a certain reason or to omit certain things from the human conception of reality and the way we perceive things. Like I kind of was speaking on before, you can change the perception of our reality, but you can't change the reality that we actually reside in. The realm that we're in currently cannot be changed by the words you speak to somebody. So be careful of that.
Absolutely. Chris, you've broke all my discipline here, and I love it. Um, I'm kind of a free flow guy. Like I said about the podcast, it's a funny thing for me in life. Something I've been focused on it recently is discipline for myself. I I reject like any sort of like hierarchy or like form or like construct for some reason. I function in society, I have a job, all that, but it's very hard for me to keep routines. I'm such an in the moment person, and I find whenever I try to stay in a routine, I always just get pulled away from it. And there's a part of me that wonders, should I try harder to be disciplined? But then I have these wonderful moments. Like I love the last fucking 38 minutes of this podcast. So it's my podcast. Fuck standards. I can do whatever the fuck I want. And I'm sorry for the listeners if this one's long, but it is what it is. Listen to the whole fucking thing. It's fucking phenomenal. However, we will cut it off here. We got to end at some point. Uh,
That's right.
oh, we
That's right.
got to keep talking. Like, where do you live?
I'm currently in Virginia.
Damn it, you're so far away from New York. Not too far though. All
No,
right, we
I
got
could
to fucking
drive. I could drive up there. I love it, and you can come down here. A little more alpha for anybody who stayed through this craziness, right? Like, so there, I will be renting out the Virginia Beach Convention Center and having a VXC convention next year. Nobody probably stayed this long. They probably left after the crazy spiritual talk. But if you stayed, man, then you're gonna know, like, you're gonna be one of the few people that are gonna really know what's coming with the Wired.
Maybe I'll
And
split
this,
this into like a part one, part two. So people could either like fully into the spiritual or hop fully into like your beginning story. You tell me how you feel about it. You could think about it, message me later. But bro, I love this. Like I know we can't talk about some of this stuff, and I honestly I'm not mocking you. I get it.
no,
But
yeah, we
I
just can't
I
talk
gotta
about
know.
it
We
on
gotta
this
get the
space. Like
information.
we can, yeah, like that's it's so crazy because, like, look, I'm not superstitious, man, but some of this stuff I was like, okay, this makes too much sense. I mean, so much sense that I've been kind of grilling Andrew Tate publicly because I can. You guys don't know, but I'm that guy.
Wait, what the
and
fuck are you talking? Bro, you keep dropping these goddamn gems.
and and and
What
and I
you
and I
just
told
have access to Tate? What do you mean?
well, and so I was telling him that I want to meet up in real life. I was like, look, like, yeah, I see like that you're back on, and some of the things you're saying, it seems like you took my advice that I gave you a few days ago or whatever. Like, let's meet up IRL so I can give you the real DL.
But how do you
Because
even
he,
have access to him? Is it, can you not, if you don't, if you can't say, bro, I think you could tell I respect your boundaries. I want to be
no,
respectful of
no,
the boundaries.
I don't
Respect
have
them.
access to Andrew Tate. I just what I meant that I'm that guy. I meant like I nobody knows why or how I'm able to call him out, and he
That's what I'm saying. You said you
he
talked to him.
didn't.
So it's
Oh,
not,
and
you didn't have a pre-existing relationship that he saw you on like Twitter or something and he was like 185 comments. Who's Chris Cavallo? I'll respond to him and you just have that energy. That's what you mean?
he hasn't responded, but I think that see, so yeah, exactly. So you're on the right track here. So unless he just didn't pay me any mind, but with I believe the web authority I've been creating, especially most in the Twitter space, I was very particular with what I said to him on his comment. And then, not but a few days later, his style of tweeting changed, and I congratulated him for it. And then a few days later, he said something very insightful, and I said, "Hey, why don't we get together?" Um, but I know he kind of does, follow
Okay,
the
so
people who
so
call him
sorry, I
out
got kind of
and stuff.
excited, but
So yeah,
you,
yeah.
you haven't gotten a direct response, but from what you're observing, it seems like you can speculate that that it is a response, that he did hear what you said, and that he's responding to it in terms of like speaking and acting in character, even though not directly to you. Bro, I got excited. It is what it is. I think Andrew Tate's incredibly interesting. I don't want to totally align with him because there's some things I don't like that he says, and I know people don't like him, and I don't want to like put that energy on me. But yeah, I just got hyped when you said you know him because he's just such an interesting figure. Hate him or love him, I think it would be like
I totally
unwise to
agree.
ignore him.
Yes, that is the thing. That is the thing. Hate him or love him, personality or not, whatever. It would be unwise to ignore him. He has a pool. He has this, he's controversial, whatever. And that's kind of
Chris,
what I
was
called
the
him
thing
out
you
on.
said
I
about
called him out on. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Bro, we're so excited. We're cutting each other off. Like honestly, I love it. And I can tell you're not like getting offended. So thank you. Um, was it about Balenciaga and karmic retribution or no?
It was. I did.
Bro, no
Because he
way.
he
I
was.
got that right. Like you literally just described this whole story. We didn't talk about this beforehand. And I'm just from my observation of the situation, like, and you're like, I think he responded to me this and that. I don't even know what you fucking sent at this point. I'm guessing what you sent that he responded to. Bro, I hope you take that as confirmation on like an energy level. Like, if I thought the same exact fucking thing, guessing so to speak, and I'm right, bro, I think it's like, I mean, it's not undeniable, but in my perspective, it's like energetically undeniable. Like statistically, factually, who knows? You could say you still don't know, but bro, that's to me, that's powerful. So you're the reason he posted that, or you think maybe?
I will give you the insightful thought of you can go look at what I said. I told him he needs to be in the trenches and not in his castle.
Can you
Um,
say it like what the post was or
Oh,
whatever? Or
absolutely. Yeah, no, I'll say it like because I retweeted it and called him out several times so that he could. My tweet says I'm posting this so that you cannot say I didn't call you out, Andrew, because I am and I'm holding you to it. So be sure that you change your attitude. Like that's to sum it up. Like, and he changed his attitude and he started tweeting more impactful, positive things that are more insightful and less him, or maybe I shouldn't say less him. Let me, Andrew, if you're listening, less trolling, less playing the game, maybe more actually leaning into him as a person. And and that was good because I was congratulating him for standing up and saying something, but at the same time telling him to get out of his castle and in the trenches and quit being a bitch. Um,
now, did you actually put him directly onto the karmic retribution thing? Or you told him he kind of has to dig deeper and like just look into things more? Like, how much of a direction did you point him in? Was it like a gentle nudge, a very like instructed nudge?
I would say it was a more of an instructed nudge, like because I know that he means well,
Did you
and
use the phrase karmic retribution? Like, did you put those words in his mouth? Like I was so surprised to hear him say the words karmic retribution. Like, I'm not an expert on Andrew Tate. Like I said, I'm kind of looking at him and seeing what all the commotion's about. But from my off the rip impression, I didn't think he'd be using a phrase like karmic retribution. But he has this whole other like spiritual side of him. It seems. Did is that his own phrase? Like, did he already know that phrase and you were kind of like, bro, talk more about that stuff? Or did you literally put those words in his mouth?
I, so not the words verbatim, but I would lean heavily on the fact that he is still plugged into his social media. He saw what I said. He saw where I retweeted it and called him out several times in a very particular fashion on Thanksgiving when he was saying these things. And then he probably went and scrounged what little is doxed of Christopher Cavallo on the internet. And had some spiritual insight and some epiphanies, and maybe realized that I'm not so far off from what I'm saying.
Yeah, dude, I think you're 100% right. And this is what we're talking about, that, maybe there are kind of dark forces in the world. And, you know, I don't know why people at this day and age still carry this idea that like the government is good and out to protect you and, this and that. And it's like, the power of the people and shit. Like when I was growing up, things seemed decent, or maybe I didn't know how bad the world was. And that kind of jived with me, this idea. Like I kind of got it, like why conspiracy seemed crazy. A conspiracy is just the idea on the basis levels that two people might collude, might plan something together.
Conspiracies are just based off reality that have been diluted into a palatable soft drink.
Right, but I'm saying conspiracies, like people, like the word conspiracy immediately makes you think it's a crazy thing, but that's just the word and that's the branding of the word. And some people even say that's intentional. But what is a conspiracy? If you boil it down to definition, it's insider trading. It's any sort of like fraud or theft. Like, bro, the whole SBF fucking Sam Bankman Fried FTX thing. Like, you
He
know,
literally said it himself. He was like, I put on a show because that's what we do as Westerners, and I got you. It's disgusting. It's vile.
well, he's going back and forth. Now he's saying it was all just a oversight or some shit. But again, I don't believe that.
I don't think anybody believes it. Anybody, a 5-year old, if you gave them SBF's academic resume, and didn't tell them anything about this individual, um, they would be like, "Oh yeah, he's they could handle that," because they would see their meritable uh, education, right? So I was trying to find a better word for it, but that's what it is. It's just meritable education, like the authority behind
And
that piece
even
of
the
paper.
energy, man. Elon Musk, I was on a Twitter space with him and that guy Mario, and his impression, he said, he's like, yeah, I either met Sam or talked to Sam, and he just didn't have the energy of someone who like was actually like the guy who stood behind. I'm probably botching the paraphrasing, but like that he wasn't a real guy. He was a fraud. Like he didn't seem like he had all this money. He didn't seem like he was actually in control of this massive machine behind him, and he was probably just a front guy.
I mean, I don't know all about all that, but he's definitely was saying whatever he needed to say for his own good. I mean, that's kind of clear. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say that he was the front guy, honestly, for any like knowledge that I possess that I can't really share of like how I possess it. Like I would really lean heavily on that. Once the government found out that they were being had, that they were being taken advantage of, knowing the way the kind of U.S. government works, like they have to let it run its course because that's the way that we historically work. We build a case, a very very substantially, like you can't fight this case. It may take a while to get justice. We don't have the best justice system, but the government seems to be pretty good about, you know, building a case against you, especially if you've
Well,
wronged them when
yeah,
they
I
when
maybe
it.
I may be using the word front man or using the wrong phrasing here, but what I'm kind of getting at is that he wasn't the only one involved, and I don't know what you know and don't, but there's this guy like Dan Friedberg that ran this like online betting poker scandal, and he built like a god mode into that system where somebody could steal all the users' funds like out of their bank accounts that wasn't supposed to be like lended or like bought for chips or anything. It was just supposed to be theirs. Somebody like
So
drained all of
this
that.
is
That's his
this is
like
the
chief
problem
regulatory
with
officer.
right. This is the problem with traditional security plumbing of the internet, of the current space that we live in, this subwired era, this wild west of
Well,
the
I don't
internet,
think I
this.
think you're saying it's just vetting, but this is kind of, and agree to disagree, but this is kind of my point. A conspiracy is this, like even if it's not massive, even if it's just five people, six people, like this guy, Dan Friedberg, is a crook. He's a con artist. Like, he's a con man. And he became the chief regulatory officer for FTX. So whether Sam like was 100% knowledgeable or they compartmentalized things or whatever it was, like that's what a conspiracy is. It's just people who get together and go, maybe we don't play by the rules a little bit. Maybe we cut a few corners here and it'll be good for us. And then it's like, yeah, obviously people fucking do that. People do that every day. People do that with billions of dollars. People probably do that at your company, at your job, everywhere. But then when it goes to like the government and people go, well, maybe they're hiding something. Maybe there's people in the government that are like having a conspiracy. It goes, well, that's crazy. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, blah, blah, blah. So, bro, I know we're going off on tangents. You got me way too excited tonight, but I'm loving it.
No, I mean, it's just you're not wrong though, man. I mean, that's it's just and that's the whole thing is that no matter where or how bad the system is, there's always somebody within it who still gives a shit. Um, and they're just hiding out, waiting for the right moment to drop a dime. So you just never know, man. Like that's the scary reality we live in, especially this like unsecure Web3 pre-wired, era that we're living in, pre Neo, the era, this new era that we're coming into. So I mean, it's exciting. It's not exciting. It's good for me. It's not good for me. If anybody's made it this far, like, to be honest with you, there's good things on the horizon for crypto. Like, look out for VXC. Like, look out for, I mean, you kind of heard me speak on some things tonight. I really care about my community. It's all I got. Honestly, I don't got my own family. I've spent my time being solitary to educate myself, and there needs to be betterment of humanity. There's enough resources to go around. There's an abundance of resources. Um, and let's just I don't get it why if you think about it with the kind of money that was on the table that they were going to give the SBF, like there's a lot of good that can be done with that instantaneously and still back in exchange and give confidence to the consumer. Like people aren't asking for a whole bunch. They weren't asking him for a lot. They were like, "Hey, can you show us the ledger? Hey, can you show us like the normal stuff that like everybody usually does?" And he just, I don't know, word saladed his way out of it. I don't know, but I mean, if I was given such an opportunity, um, I can tell you that there would definitely be a lot of positive changes, a lot of consumer centric, functions and utility that would be backed by real tangible assets that's good for the community in a secured environment. I can't go too much into it, but like, the Roblox environment, right? Like being able to have the confidence of it and being multinational. I just Kevin O'Leary used very specific words that it was a syndication of sovereign cash injection. So there was cash on the table. Um, yeah, it's just there's some incredible things on the horizon in the world. I know things are bad now. Everybody's losing their bags. I'm not doxxed for a reason because the internet's crazy. I mean, the fact that I can go click on some link on Twitter today and somebody can steal everything out of my MetaMask, they're taking my life fortune, and I can't feed my kids the formula they may need next week because I hedged all my money on NFTs and random crypto that is just nothing but ones and zeros. And I'm not talking about the hedge funds. I'm not talking about the VCs. Those guys, they write off $1 billion when they first hand it out. I'm talking about me and you and everybody else listening who is two random events and one paycheck away from being homeless. That's the average American. Uh, Say what you want. Sometimes with more money comes more problems if you increase your lifestyle. But the statistics is like three bad events, whatever. I call it two random events and one paycheck because God forbid two random events happen and then you lose your job. That's it. especially right now with the way things are.
I mean, yeah, dude, touching back on Andrew Tate, hate him or love him, but a lot of what he says is powerful and accurate. So that's, why I'm interested. That's the part I'm interested in. But he talks about the same thing.
Yeah, if you notice the last few days, like he went from being a little bit more egocentric to, hey, I'm hanging out with my brother. I don't, instead of trying to get a woman and like, hey, like hang out with your homies and like find true friends and like it's okay to fail and pick yourself back up. Like I don't know what he was
100%. But
doing
what you were saying
before
specifically
that.
that I was kind of echoing, is that he says like the one of the greatest lies ever told by the rich, or the conspiracy class, or the quote unquote ruling class, is money doesn't buy happiness. And that's kind of what you were alluding to as well. And it's bullshit. Like he's like laughs at it. He goes, okay, so here we are with all the money, but don't worry, we'll hold on to it for you because it's just making us miserable. You would be so unhappy if you had this money. It doesn't buy happiness. So don't worry about it. Don't try to get it. Just let us keep all of it. And then he goes, okay, money doesn't buy happiness. How much money have you seen most of these millionaires just give away? How many millionaires have just given away their whole fortune because money doesn't buy happiness and money's the root of all evil, and
And
they just want
now
to be a
you
simple
understand
person.
exactly why I said, hey, Andrew, get out of your castle and get in the trenches. You can say whatever you want, but there are men and women gearing up across the globe at 0 dark 30 to go into the hellscape of this reality where these children are to actually save them. So until you change, I don't want to hear a fucking word out of you, Andrew. That's literally what I said to him. And then I repeatedly said it. And then I tagged him again and called him by name and was like, just so you know that I make sure that you're not missing the fact that I'm doing this. Just so you can, like, historically go back later and be like, oh, I didn't know, or you didn't say that. I can be like, nope, nope, nope. I did it again. Like, specifically tagging you by name, first name, letting you know that, like, I see you and I hear you, but you don't know who I am, and that's okay because you're in a different country and you have your millions of dollars and you're in a castle, and that's totally cool. But I'd love to meet him, and I know I'm going to, and I'm going to give him some IRL knowledge, and I think he'll appreciate it. And maybe we'll have a little sparring match and talk, martial arts and talk some philosophy, and maybe I can help. I don't know, people enjoy maybe who he really is. I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows who, Andrew Tate really is underneath what he's earned, right? I mean, the dude is capable in the ring, like he is, a warrior monk of sorts, right? Like I know he's controversial. I know he trolls people. I'm not saying he's like, some great guy. I don't know much about him, but I know he's a martial artist. I know he's capable in that sense. But we're all humans. We're all people, right? We've all experienced lives in a different way, and we all have this perception of reality. So no matter what he says, he can only change your perception, not your reality. So shut out the noise if you don't like it. Goes across for anybody and anywhere, right? We have that choice over free will to choose what we want to hear and disseminate and be disciplined at and apply our organized thoughts towards. And if you want to be negative, be negative. If you want to be positive, be positive. If you want to be in the middle, be in the middle. You know, so please don't take this as me endorsing like Andrew Tate. Clearly I'm calling him out that he needs to, like, if he's gonna talk about being a king and doing this and doing that, and I got so much money and I'm a tier one badass. Well, I reach out to me. I will coordinate you hanging out with some people, and you can go drop in somewhere and do some real shit. Until then, stay in your fucking lane, Andrew.
Yeah, man. And you probably should look into it, because there's definitely some stuff that I would guess you wouldn't want to put your name on either, just from the similarities to me of some things you said about values. Um, yeah, like some of the stuff about women, it's like, he doesn't think a man could cheat on a woman, like no matter what. Like he doesn't think anything is cheating. He's like, Yeah, if a man fucks another woman, it's exercise. If a woman fucks another man, it's cheating. That's
Wait, really?
yeah, like so there's some stuff like that, and like
See, I
you
see.
know the one
As I said before, in the last over the last hour and a half or whatever, like I stay off. I'm essentially a ghost in the net. So I've never followed Andrew before. I know he was very controversial. I knew people they kicked him off the internet, but I know he was saying like that high level of like I don't know if he's trolling at that point. Like either you just got a weird perception or you're trolling people just to make everybody angry
I
because
don't
that's the
think
internet.
trolling. I think that he was, and I don't want to speak for him, but I think he was making the point that women have, or most women, like, and it sucks to generalize, but he was generalizing. Generally, women will have sex with men like only when they have a romantic connection, or that there's usually a romantic connection, or that there's typically more of an emotional part involved, which is what makes it cheating. And that for men, like, yes, physically it's cheating, but emotionally, like, he literally sees that woman as like an object in that moment where they're having sex. So it's different. But dude, yeah, like, I mean,
Yeah,
bro, if you get in a
that's just his
relationship,
own personal choice to help
right,
himself sleep better at night.
right. So I would say, okay, cool, think and believe whatever you want, but my filter would be, if you're gonna live that way, I that doesn't get my seal of approval unless you could convince your wife of or girlfriend of that. Like, if you pitch that and she fucking goes, yeah, that makes sense to me, we're good. You could fuck, I won't. Great. But yeah, I don't think you should just like do that, assume that that's the truth of the world. Like, yeah, I don't think you should cheat on people. Like,
No, I think that that's. I
as long
mean, we
as it
talked
happens,
about karma and
whatever,
energy, and he
could stand behind cheating.
see see. I didn't know some of these things, so I'm a firm believer that people run around using this term king a lot. Everybody's in the last decade. I'm a king. I'm a king. I'm a king. Right. So let's quantify this. King of what? They're a king of absolutely nothing, including Andrew Tate. Kings of nothing running around like they're kings of something. Only thing Andrew Tate possesses is his knowledge, skills, and abilities. He's only rich because there's poorness in the world. That's it. You know, uh, uh, your merit, your skills, and abilities what defines you as a king. Let's go back about 1,000 years. A king was a warrior, a poet, an architect, he's a scholar. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find like actual words that pertain to back then. I mean, I'm just gonna start using modern terms, but so there was these things that were very, very particular that you didn't necessarily have to be from royalty. Of course, that controlled the way things worked, but knighthood, right? Like it was based off of merit. A knight could become a king, so you could go from being a serf to a knight, or to a squire, to a knight, to a king, if you worked hard enough, gained people's respect, led from the front. You were an actual alpha. The animal kingdom has shown us that a real alpha works together with the community and even leans on at times those who are stronger than them, who can provide a task for them or the community that the leader, the alpha, the king, may not be able to handle. And there is due respect between both parties. Um, but the animal kingdom has also shown us that the alpha that acts like a psychotic ape, running around and stealing fear in the community and beating people, don't last long, because they may have been winning then and may have killed a few other chimps, but when that alpha in the community is caught alone, he will be ganged up on by the other chimps and will be ripped limb from limb, because they will have had enough with the tyranny of the alpha leading the pack. So,
On that note as well, I also saw what I think is a video of Andrew Tate like beating this woman with a belt. But then I saw this other video of the woman saying like that was like this kink sex tape that like got released. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if he paid her to say that. Like, who knows? My end conclusion was, if she came out and said it was all good, I guess I'll take her word at face value. But yeah, I just because you like the positive things, and I think you're attracted to what I'm attracted to. But you said you didn't know this stuff, so I just want to warn you. because you will get fucking flamed, dude. You will get like torn down. You get canceled. If you don't kind of talk about these
Well,
things
then,
and go,
yeah. That's cool because they can try to cancel me because the first thing I said is, "Hey, get out of your fucking castle and get in the trenches." So, um, same thing, right? Like he can say
oh
he's
no,
a king, and here But no, I appreciate you sharing this with me because yeah, I didn't know like this dude is I don't do the internet because of this stuff like this, right? Like people get preoccupied with the things that don't matter by people's interactions or people's whatever, what I'm saying, like if you're all caught up in what fucking Andrew Tate's doing, you don't understand what the emperor is doing, the presidents, like it's watch the gladiators in the stadium, don't watch the emperor. That's the way I see the internet and the
give them
distractions on there,
wine,
people like Andrew
circus.
Tate.
Oh, sorry, I was just quoting. Give them wine and circus, and they will not revolt. I think that's like a famous quote. I forget who said it.
Oh yeah, exactly, man. Yeah. So, disclosure once again, I don't know about a lot of him. I'm not endorsing him. I think it was good that he spoke up against pedophilia, but he also needs to come and speak it to somebody's face when he says that he's this type of character and person and morals. Then you strap up your boots, you lace them tight, and you drop in. If he was, you know, whatever, Bill Gates, you don't expect Bill Gates to lace up his boots and drop in. You expect Bill Gates to get on his computer and to fucking throw money at it or whatever he does. Um, so just to disclose, that's why I called out Cobra Tate, whatever he goes by. I don't even know how he got back on the internet. I'm just recently on the actual internet again myself.
Elon
Um,
Musk gave him his Twitter back.
Oh shit. Oh, is that well? I mean, freedom of speech. It makes sense. He did a poll for Trump. He must have did a poll for Andrew Tate. Um, dude, I guess the toxic bro community was like, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. The first thing I told him is that he needs to get in his lane and not to leave it unless he was going to actually strap up and be a part of it. And maybe it worked, maybe it didn't work. I don't claim to be some influencer or some whatever, or I mean, yeah, people don't know who I am, but I mean, I like it that way, and I'd like to keep it that way. Like, um, I'm just here to make things better. That's it. I just want to like, I don't need wealth, so I'm here to spread the wealth. Like,
Chris, at the risk of going off, I got to close out here at some point because now I'm running into a
yeah, we
meeting.
should
I
we
need to.
should we should have been done. So whenever, dude, I mean, we can wrap it up whenever, man. Like
Well,
uh,
again, it's me too, so it is what it is. And I'm about to ask you another quick question, or who knows if it's quick, and dude, do not feel whatever, embarrassed, ashamed. I won't take it as an insult or personally. Did you happen to check out any of my stuff, what I do, my company, my links, my bio, anything like that?
a little bit, not really. Be honest with you,
You have
I
to
don't.
see Alien Inks?
Who?
Alien Inks, it's my company.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Mm-mm.
Do me a favor while we're talking here. Take a really quick look at alieninks.com.
Okay.
And kind of just touching back to a point earlier, this was like in my head. I didn't know if I should bring it up in a message, whatever. But bro, we're way past the fucking buzzer, so fuck it. Um, I do art and clothing design, and it's all these images of I don't know honestly where it comes to me from. Some idea maybe thinks there's this energy in the universe and it's like channeling through me, maybe not, maybe that's crazy, whatever it is. But dude, I would love if there's any place for me to get involved, or you need an artist, or we could do like a design or like some sort of t-shirt or something, and the proceeds go to like that or something, dude. Bro, I would love to like get involved in like you said, dude, getting on the ground and all this positive stuff. I want to be a more positive change of good in the world, but I'm just me, and I'm, like you said, I'm Kowski. Some people know me. I have a podcast, but people don't know who the fuck I am in the world. Like, on the street, people know who Kowski is, and my influence is limited. But I'd like to make it bigger. And like you said, people don't necessarily need to know who you are. Your name doesn't need to be on it. And I'd like to be bigger, but why? Yeah, partially for the recognition. But if I could either have the recognition or the result, my number one is the result. I would take no credit if I could live in a world where I saw the positive result of my action. So, whether we put my name on it or not, or whatever it is, and feel free to say no. Again, I won't get offended, but if there's any opportunity, I got to put it out there. I would love to do some sort of collab or something. And I'm assuming it's up now. Do you see what I'm talking about with the alien designs and stuff?
Yeah, I love it, man. Yeah, dude. And as I said before, like power is ability. So don't, feel bad for asking or anything else because like, I am going to bring the wire to life. There's things I can't tell because, people might try to steal it. I mean, they couldn't, but like I also don't want to make the average dude, if I said some of this shit right now, the whole fucking dude, the economy would fucking I can't fuck with the government like that. Like it's just I can't fuck with people. I can't fuck with the consumer like that. Like when it's done, then you'll fucking know. But like no, I'm for it, dude. Like please plug in. I want other people to plug in. As I said before, like I'm really actually creating a community. That's the whole point. Like a Roblox type environment, right? So like yes,
Now,
welcome to the
this is a
club.
selfish question, but and please be honest. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Honestly, bro, if you hate it, I don't care. I would love to just know. And then back to the kind of whole like you being this person who's like spiritual, not religious, and believes in a lot of the same things. Do you get any like vibe from it? Like, do you think this could be some sort of energy that like maybe I'm channeling? Is it like insane as that sounds, or is that crazy? Again, do not be afraid to offend me. You could tell me, no, bro, that sounds batshit and I hate it and it looks stupid. But I'm curious. I want genuine feedback.
I mean, do you really want real, genuine feedback? Like, I don't, I know you're ready for it, but I don't know if other people are ready for it. So I hope you're sitting
Don't
down, but
to
like,
everybody. Don't take my permission and just start unloading on people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely a unique individual here with fucking rhinoceros fucking skin. But yeah, bro, tell me 100% unload. Tell me shit if you want. Honestly, dude, I look a little bit more forward. Yes and no, but there's a part of me that really looks forward to negative feedback because you don't get a lot of it, and like that's the shit you react to. What the fuck am I doing
you,
with positive feedback?
you
Like,
don't get a
okay, it's
lot of
more what I'm doing right, but
constructive negative feedback. People just want to give you fake positive feedback, and it's not constructive. I mean, I used to when I was a teen, actually a young teen, like when I started really getting heavily into coding and building computers and stuff when I was like 11 years old, I had a whole folder full of sketches, kind of similar to like what you're doing, not necessarily, but like things came through in my mindset and symbols and numerical and like text type form. Like I'd never been the type of drawer who can do a portrait. But if you saw some of my early drawings, you'd be like, "What?" And like, so I dig this, man. Like, I'm with it. Um, some of the codexes I've seen from lost things, like, I mean, codexes like some the fucking world isn't exactly always privy to. Like, um, I just I don't want to be too upsetting here, but I mean, I really like it, man. There's just something. There's just something about it. I mean, I like it. I do. It's um, and it's some of it's reminiscent of the stuff
I
that
mean,
I
that
would
wouldn't
do.
upset me at all. I don't I don't know why you say you're afraid to be upsetting.
Just
You're just giving positive feedback. I mean, that's fine.
oh no, I mean the other people out there like that, just no, I really do. Like I looked at the purple one and the red one, like zooming in on it, and just it's very I don't know, it's reminiscent of the stuff that I used to do, and like I would have never known you did work like this unless you told me. And then instantly I'm like, wow, this brings me back to things that I used to lean into. that I quit leaning into, and that's part of what a lot of these scriptures say is part of the conditions that we've manifested as these vessels, these humans, right? Like that wasn't necessarily encoded in us from the beginning. It was given to us to be forgetful, uh, to be that to have this brain fog of the reality and realm around us. Um, that is the actual downfall of man. They think it's eating the apple, right? Like and all this other stuff, and uh, that it led you out of the garden to sin. And it's not. It's more of the forgetful sleep than it is anything. Um, Anywho, without getting too much into that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, we'll close out here, but just on that point, I think that's a yes. To the question I asked you, I asked kind of like yes or no questions that aren't really yes or no questions. They obviously some of them, require longer answers here to kind of fully flesh out what you mean by yes and no, and I get that and I appreciate that. But just to kind of recap, I think that's a resounding yes. That if you've made it this far and you're as batshit crazy as me and Chris, and maybe just really intelligent and realizing that this is pattern recognition at a high level and we're not crazy, there is this idea that, yeah, maybe, we're a species with amnesia and there's this hidden and ancestral knowledge. But, I like to think there's this idea of something called like the Akashic records or, disembodied consciousness or just free floating information that's out in the universe or like an energy or a frequency or a signal. And, maybe me and Chris are both tapped into that because, he said he drew similar things and I draw these things and they're just kind of intuitive and it's kind of like a free flow, free form thing, just like the podcast. I don't know what shapes I'm going to do beforehand. I don't know what the overall image is going to look like usually. Sometimes I kind of do, but when I'm doing my real true to form art, it's completely blank canvas in the moment as I go, undecided, deciding from decision to decision, just like life, just like the podcast. And I like to embody my philosophies at all levels. So that's just another example of that. But yeah, let's wrap it up here, bro. I love this. We definitely got to like stay closer. This is a wonderful episode. Some people you connect with more or less. I connect with people who are as crazy as me, and I'm so lucky to have found someone like you. To close out here, we said so many fucking things. I'll probably text you about this later. I think I will split this into two or like a part one, part two, if you're okay with that, just so like
Do
I don't
your
know, it's
thing,
not so
man.
intimidating to see a 2 hour podcast or whatever. Just for the listeners or whatever. But bro, I think every bit of this is useful and information. But do you want to give? I don't know. I usually say a mic drop moment, but a sum up or a last words kind of thing here, and then we'll thank the audience.
Yeah, I did just have it. I lost it. I don't know why. Um, oh, what was it? Oh my lord. Because you were speaking on like the similarity of all this stuff and just oh my god, I literally just had it. This is why part of why I smoke weed. Oh my lord. um, I got a brain injury too, so sometimes just but no, the fuck, what were you saying?
I was talking about like the energy, the frequency, the Akashic records, the idea that like the knowledge is out there. We're a culture with amnesia. We're
Oh
like,
yes. So to solidify all of this for everybody listening, to make all of us, make me and Kashi here sound a little less grandiose. Look up Dr. Caroline Leaf. She's a brain specialist, and she's been doing research for about the last 40 years. And her research has proven that our conceptual understanding of the brain has been completely wrong for centuries, and that there is the ability to have neuroplasticity to expand our consciousness and our intelligence. She did studies with people who went from like having brain injuries and almost zero brain function to being fully functional people again. And it's all documented over, like very, very scrutinous, peer reviewed, high level PhD, scientific like research, like done actively, like with the active brain scanning of MRIs and all this technology as time has gone on. And she's been in the field for 40 years. So to wrap it up, what I'm trying to say is that society has told us as human beings that we or of limited capacity, of limited intellect, that you're born in a certain fashion, and as smart as you are born is as smart as you'll ever be. And I'm here to tell you that we have now proven with modern science that that is a lie. So what else have they been lying to us about? And please expand your consciousness. Please focus your intentions on organized thoughts, to have further discipline in the arts of knowledge, to get better abilities, and deploy pure intentions in your reality, and watch all of the, things that start to enter your world when you apply your thoughts in a focused manner and deploy pure intentions.
When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That's a quote I've said many times. I'll keep saying it. I think it's powerful. I think it speaks to what you said. As we're closing out, just to kind of expound on what you said and give, a clear picture to the listeners, that's one of my things I love to do is like paint these pictures. I've seen what you're talking about, and people don't understand what neuroplasticity is, or these sound like big words. It's the idea that up until now, our understanding of the brain, or part of it, is that there's certain areas of the brain or pieces of the brain responsible for certain tasks. So one might think that if there was a brain injury to this part of the brain, or if that part of the brain got like removed or whatever it is, right? That you would lose all ability to perform that task, because it's like if you take the wheels off a car, it just can't go. So it's like if you don't have the parts, you don't have the function, because they're inextricably tied. And what Chris is explaining is that that's not true at all, because what they found is with people who have like either like genetically or something, like missing parts of their brain, or completely damaged or dead parts of their brain, or from an injury, where you go, okay, this whole part of their brain that controls this function, like let's say a part of the brain that controls speech, that gets damaged and a person becomes nonverbal. Neuroplasticity is not the idea. It is the fact that what can happen, and what does happen for individuals who rehabilitate, is that other areas of the brain will retrain themselves, like whatever pieces are left, they'll retrain themselves to learn new functions. And I don't know, maybe you're not at fucking 100% capacity, but maybe you can be. And even if not, like you could live like a kind of you could live a normal life again by having parts of your brain take over. So that is just a little sum up of neuroplasticity. And yeah, that's it. This was a fucking rager here. I loved it. This one got my passions out. Usually I like to focus on, the guest, and I think we did a ton of that, but then we got into my passions as well, which I absolutely loved. So thank you for going into that with me. Like I said, we'll definitely have to connect later. Maybe we'll do some sort of charity thing, something raising money for veterans, something like that. I would love to be involved in that and like actually make a difference that's, coming from my heart and my soul, and, especially my art. If you haven't heard it today, you are loved. That's a message from my good friend at Afakasi Brand. He does Twitter Spaces as well, the barbershop. Feel free to check that out. But he's really positive too. I like to just connect positive people and act as like a node or nexus point for positivity and intelligent people. So feel free to reach out. If you want to come on the podcast, feel free to reach out. Questions for me, reach out. Chris, I think we'll probably take a DM. So, Chris, yes?
Oh yeah, please reach out. Any
Yeah, I didn't
questions
want
you
to.
have,
I
DM
didn't want to
me,
put you
call
without your
me.
pitching.
I got my consultation services. Hopefully, some of the things I've spoke on haven't spooked you away and have actually drawn you in. I can do deep analytics of your corporation down to a mom and pop store, and I'm here for the community. I want to make a change in my local community. I want to make a change for the nation, for at a global scale. We're only here for but a blip in time. I do all these things. It sounds pessimistic, but I do all these things while laughing into the void, knowing that none of it makes a difference. So I try to operate and execute on the highest level because I enjoy it. I enjoy the process. I enjoy learning. I enjoy the journey. If a lot of good things come out of it, then fantastic. At least I can say that I didn't try, and that's the biggest thing. I'll leave you with my favorite Bruce Lee quote, or I guess saying: "Knowing is not enough; we must apply. Willing is not enough; we must do."
And there you go. So get out there and do. Hit up me and Chris. We want to make a change in the world. We want to make this real. And it would be awesome to just look back on this podcast 10, 20 years from now. And if you reach out to us and we create something, go, yeah, this is the moment of inspiration. This is it. This is the story. This is real life. You really can change the world just by connecting to people and being positive. Thank you for listening again. Thank you for coming on this marathon episode or the part one, part two. And hope you come back. Hope you share this with people. Feel free to comment, like, and retweet. And once again, that's it. You are loved. Have a great night. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for your service. And that's it. You are loved. Peace out, y'all.
Sign